Hey guys, welcome to a another episode of the Ball Don't Lie podcast. We're doing week two recap today of all the NFL games. We had some major upsets, and then we also had some big time wins by the favorites, and we also had some unexpected injuries this week. So we'll get right into it. So the Thursday night game was New York and Washington. A very good game. I would say probably arguably the best game of the weekend, except maybe for one other game. Um, Really good game from both quarterbacks, in my opinion. Daniel Jones had a solid game. I think even though he didn't get the touchdown to Slayton, he would have had 300 yards passing, in my opinion. Um, Galladay was not good though, and I got to give props to Heineke. He played such a good game, and Washington pulled this one out 30-29. Thoughts, Hudson?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we saw that offsides call at the end. I'm not really totally sure if that was fully. I mean, apparently, they're saying that it was actually just a perfect jump and not actually offsides, meaning that the Giants should have actually won that game. But Heineke played great. So did Daniel Jones, honestly. He had a great game passing and also running. Slayton should have had a touchdown, like you said, in that game that probably would have gave the Giants the win. So multiple blown chances for the Giants, one basically from officiating and one just from a bad play from Slayton. But it was a nice game. Two bad teams that we thought would be an awful game, but that rivalry made it great and turned out to be a really, really nice game with Washington
It
coming
would
down
have
on
been a
top.
it would have been a penalty anyways because he was over the snapper, so it would have been 5 yards anyways. But regardless, the Giants fans are arguing, and still sucks. Their team is 0-2. Anyways, we're gonna go to the 1 o'clock window, and I guess we'll start with the first game. Your team, Hudson, the Dolphins got massacred by the Bills, 35-0. I'm gonna let you start, and then I'll give my opinion on the game.
Well, within the first, 6, 7 plays, Tua was getting smacked left and right. Austin Jackson was just letting every single defender by him. The Bills brought corner blitz almost every single play, and it worked almost every single time. They literally sacked Tua 4 out of like the 6 plays he was on the field for, until obviously that rib injury where he was kneeling, then standing up, then kneeling, then standing up, and then at last he just went down. The cart came out, took him back in. And he tried to go back into the game yesterday. So that'll show some stuff that, maybe he can be good for next week versus Vegas, but the Raiders haven't been doing too shabby this year either, so it's going to be a fun week next week. But I don't know, Josh Allen didn't even play that well. One of the worst games in his career, honestly. Dolphins defense had an interception, I think, somewhere. Singletary had a great game, but honestly, in the end, the Dolphins just played awful. Brissett was terrible. He was sacked like 6 times, I think. So just an awful game from the O lineman, especially now without Tua. It's gonna be a crazy season for Miami fans.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Once Tua went down, I had a feeling this game would not be close. And in fact, I thought Josh Allen would have a much better game, but apparently he didn't need to have a good game. Devin Singletary took care of the load. Zach Moss had 2 rushing touchdowns. Josh Allen didn't need to do too much, and that Bills defense came to play on Sunday. Big game from them and Buffalo. We'll move on to the next AFC East game, the Patriots and the Jets, which was also a massacre. In particular, Zach Wilson throwing 4 interceptions, and in fact, 2 within a 6-minute span. I'm gonna be honest. We all expected the Patriots to win, but to see Zach Wilson just crumble at New York just proves how much Sam Darnold was tarnished, and now it's just happening to Zach Wilson, in my opinion. There's no weapons on that team. There's no O line. He's just getting smacked around, and he's gonna be eventually seeing ghosts apparently, because that's all New York QBs can see. Um, just a disappointing game. I expected more from Wilson, but then again, Bill Belichick eats rookie QBs for breakfast, so I mean, I'm not really surprised. Damian Harris had a good game, and Mac Jones gets his first win. So good for him. And I guess we really called it, but I mean, nothing much to say. New England's got a tough test next week, though, and they play New Orleans. We'll get to New Orleans later, but just kind of an awkward game from Zach Wilson and just the four interceptions. I don't know. As a rookie, like you throw four interceptions, your confidence should be at an all-time low, and especially since he's in New York and New York Jets fans are going crazy saying he's the savior. It kind of just sucks for Zach Wilson, in my opinion. But what are your thoughts, Hudson? Considering your favorite teams in the AFC East, anyways, what do you think of this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my thoughts are nowhere to be stood. I mean, other than with the Dolphins, my thoughts are basically nowhere to be stood with what's going to happen in the AFC East because I don't really know how long. Nobody really knows how long Tua will be out for, but just based off of these two teams, it was obvious that the Patriots would end up winning, but seeing how the Jets played, I feel like that basically rang up one thought to me, which was that Sam Darnold wasn't the actual issue. I mean, going into the season, my thought was that you can take Sam Darnold out of New York, but you can't really take the Jets out of Sam Darnold. But I mean, looking how the Panthers are doing so far, maybe you can, but it's obvious that the Jets have already got into Zach Wilson through 4 interceptions this game. I think 3 in the first half. So absolutely awful game from him. Mac Jones once again played well, but it was basically a running game for the Patriots, and this was a pretty easy game for them. It's the Jets coming off that number 2 overall pick. Nobody expected them to do anything, but they were excited to see what the rookie quarterback can do, and so far, nothing. 19 for 33, over 200 yards, but 4 interceptions. Just an awful game, an awful season so far from Zach Wilson, because another top QB, which is the Trevor Lawrence, obviously, we'll get to that game later, but, he has not been playing well either, so we haven't seen we haven't seen too much potential out of this year's draft class yet.
Yeah, not really. And we'll actually start. We'll just dive into it. The next game we're going to talk about is the Broncos and Jags. And speaking of Trevor Lawrence, who had a bad day, I'm looking over the stats right now. Trevor Lawrence did not have a good day at all. In fact, he had a bad game. In fact, he had, if I'm not mistaken, let me look at this real quick. Okay, he had 2 interceptions, only 118 passing yards, but against that Broncos defense, I mean, you can't really do much. I don't believe in this Broncos team. I just don't. I think they're trash. But as for Jacksonville, oh my God, they should have won that first game against Houston, but they might be in the running for the number 1 pick again. Other than that, this team is not really good in my opinion, but just another terrible season for the Jaguars. They've fall from that AFC Championship run they had, and they just suck. And it's gonna be tough time for Lawrence, but he'll learn from this, just like Zach Wilson will. But on the Broncos side, I already mentioned I don't believe in Teddy Bridgewater. I don't give a damn. He played the Broncos and he played the Jaguars and the Giants. Who the fuck cares? Both 0-2 teams. I mean, I don't really expect much. When he plays the bigger teams like Kansas City, like Vegas, like who else do they play? When they play teams like
even any other team in the
any
AFC
other team in the
West.
AFC, and even tough NFC teams, they're going when they play the Eagles, when they play the Cowboys, when they play Washington, Denver's going to be in trouble. I feel because Teddy Bridgewater is not capable, in my opinion, of leading that team. But good win for them, I guess. I mean, again, an expected win, as we all picked this week. Go ahead, Hudson.
Yeah, we kind of expected the Broncos to win, basically based off of how they played last week versus the Giants, and also how the Jaguars played last week versus the Texans, getting blown out. And Trevor Lawrence not off to a great rookie start, obviously not reflecting any of these games off of to his pro career, what he's going to do in the next couple of years. But 5 interceptions in your first 2 games isn't really something to be proud of, obviously. But Teddy Bridgewater, And the Broncos, undefeated so far. Like you said, they've played the Giants and the Jaguars, so two garbage teams. But, I don't like. I want to see. I think the Broncos actually play the Jets next week, don't they? They play. Yeah,
Yeah.
they play the Jets next week at home, and then week 4 they play the Broncos play the Ravens. So after that Ravens game, that's finally when they're gonna meet an actual good team. But I feel like this team is a great defense. Obviously, Denver with a top 10 defense for sure. But that offense, the receivers injury prone a ton. The quarterback's not too reliable at that position. So, I think that the Broncos played great, but they're against garbage teams. But mainly Trevor Lawrence, the highlight of this game, not really off to a great number 1 overall pick type start.
Yeah, just a tough start for both Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence. But we'll move on to the next game. So the next game we have is the 49ers and the Eagles, a defensive battle out in Philadelphia. But I picked the Eagles in this game because I thought the Eagles would play hard, and they did. They had the 49ers stifled for about 2 quarters. But when your best receiver is Jalen Reagor and Devonta Smith, I think it's time. You're gonna struggle eventually, and the Eagles struggled, and they couldn't really. They did a solid job, I would say, on Jimmy Garoppolo, but just a game. I guess the Eagles just let out of their grasp. They'll have to go back to the whiteboard and get ready for next week, I guess, because next week's game is more important than this one against Dallas. But I won't blame the Eagles, but I feel like they could have won this game. But you guys picked the Niners, and I think the Niners were the better team. But I picked the Eagles because I just thought home field advantage, and just the way they played week 1. But good game from the 49ers defense, and Jimmy Garoppolo played pretty well. I don't know what the exact stats are, but he played pretty well in my opinion. And a good win for the 49ers. They got a tough matchup. Well, I don't even know if it's a tough matchup anymore, considering how this team is playing right now. They play Green Bay next week, and considering Green Bay's defense, I really don't know whether to consider that a tough matchup. But they got a big showdown Sunday night against Green Bay next week. So good win for the Niners, and they're one of the 7 teams that's undefeated so far to start the season. So I mean, props up to that.
Yeah, I thought that the 49ers would end up winning this game. Like you said, Jimmy Garoppolo did have a good game, but I think I said something about, Jalen Hurts popping off against Atlanta, which obviously is the worst defense in the NFL, coming to San Francisco. No, sorry, going back to Philadelphia, but you have San Francisco with that top tier defense coming in, and that's where Jalen Hurts. I don't want to say completely blew it, but he did obviously worse than the 3 touchdowns that he threw last week. 12 for 23 and 190 yards with 0 TDs, 0 interceptions, nothing of that. He ran for a touchdown, but I feel like this 49ers team was just the better team, like you said, a defensive battle here. But it was just a very surprising game, honestly. I don't even know what I'm saying. The 49ers kind of just took away with this game in that fourth quarter. They held the lead for most of the game, and when Philly just caught up, they mostly just answered back and kept that lead through the whole game. But Jimmy Garoppolo had a great game. Jalen Hurts kind of struggled now going against that better defense than it was obviously against Atlanta in week 1, but pretty easy win here for the 49ers in week 2.
Yeah, that throw by Rodgers we just saw, sheesh, that had some butter on it.
Yeah, I was distracted by that.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, whew. All right, so we're going to go to our first upset of the week, in my opinion, and stunner out in Pittsburgh. The Raiders. How about them Raiders, baby? Just win, baby. Got a Stearns Lambeau, but I got 5 on couldn't stand. Anyways, good win for the Raiders. They played really well. Derek Carr is proving all the doubters wrong, man. He has been playing on fire. Good win for the Raiders. And the Steelers, I mean, They had a lot. I'm not gonna blame them. They could have won this game, but they just had a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. Devin Bush was already out to start the game. T.J. Watt had a groin injury midway through the second quarter. I don't really blame this game on the Steelers. I will say they gotta run the football more with Najee Harris, just a little bit more, and they have got to pound teams that cannot guard the run, and that includes Vegas. I don't know why they didn't run the ball that much against Vegas. And that really gets on me because Vegas isn't that good at guarding the run, in my opinion.
They
So
they their defense isn't too strong at all.
there's exactly. I don't know why they didn't try and run the ball more, but I mean, they could have won this game. The Steelers could have very easily won this game, but I just couldn't pull it out. But good win for the Raiders though, and they're again one of the 7 teams that are undefeated, and just the stunner of an upset. I don't think anybody of us picked the Raiders this weekend, so good win for them.
Yeah, just a great win for the Raiders, but beating the Ravens in week 1, then beating the team that's coming off of the week beating the Bills, obviously with the Steelers. I'm not as confident as I was in week 1 going to Vegas for this game, obviously with my Dolphins going over to Las Vegas against the Raiders this upcoming week. So I'm not too confident as I was a couple weeks ago, but Carr is just proving everybody wrong. Underrated. I mean, going into the season, I think he was a very underrated quarterback, and he's kind of just showing everybody what he's capable of doing out there. Nearly 400 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the Raiders are a mainly passing, or they're not really mainly passing team, but they were a.
They didn't even have
passing team
Josh
for the
Jacobs.
game.
They didn't have Josh Jacobs
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they were a passing team for this game without Josh Jacobs, and you know, it's just a crazy coincidence that the Raiders are starting out 2-0. They kind of just shut down the Steelers. I mean, Najee Harris had an okay game, but I think he's got to get the ball more on the grounds, and even just those dump offs here and there. He had 5 receptions and a touchdown in that receiving game. So I would not expect if we saw more of that with him getting the ball more and more. And I mean, Henry Ruggs had a hell of a game with Derek Carr. That's going to be one of the new dynamic duos. I know Carr isn't the most, he's not the youngest player in the league. He's 30 years old. And Henry Ruggs obviously he was drafted in the 2020 draft class, I think. So
Yeah, last year.
yeah, so definitely not like a young and upcoming duo, but for the next couple of years, they're going to be really nice together. And the Raiders, who knows? Maybe they could possibly make some noise. I think most of us probably had them finishing 4th in the AFC West, behind obviously Los Angeles,
I had them. I
Denver,
had them third. I had them third. I don't believe in the Broncos. I mentioned that before, but go ahead.
yeah. But yeah, just a crazy game here. Raiders impressing everybody so far this season, and who knows? Maybe they can take it all the way to the postseason. But I wouldn't be surprised if they got their first loss delivered to them this Sunday.
We shall see. That depends on if a certain Tua Tagovailoa plays. Anyways, let's move on to the next game. A little more convincing win for the Cleveland Browns, who beat the Texans 31-21. Baker Mayfield 213 in the air. Nick Chubb 95 on the ground. For Houston, Brandon Cooks had a very good game, but Tyrod Taylor left the game with a hamstring injury, and unfortunately, the Texans do not have enough star power, and they lost by 10 to the Browns. Good game for Cleveland. Big bounce back, considering they played Kansas City last week. They needed this one to stay in playoff contention, and they got it. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, they're actually leading the AFC North, I think, or they're tied for first with literally every team in that division. Every team in that division is 1-1. Crazy. But good win for Cleveland. And as for Houston, I'm surprised. I didn't expect this Houston team to be that good. I thought they would be trash heap, and they just kept fighting all game. Tyrod Taylor, but they got to play David Mills on Thursday. But I'm surprised by Houston, but Cleveland needed this win, and they got it done. So good for them.
Yeah, I kind of expected. I mean, we all expected the Browns to be a blowout, but We were surprised once again by Tyrod Taylor, and who knows, maybe if he was able to stay in the game, he would be able to beat this Browns team. But obviously, Davis Mills we saw come in, and now we're seeing that Tyrod Taylor could possibly be out for the next 4 weeks. I know that Tejas was very scared that Tyrod Taylor would kill the Panthers
Shut
defense
your mouth, though.
on
Go ahead.
Thursday. It should be a pretty simple win for Carolina to start out 3-0 this week. But yeah, Davis Mills obviously he's a rookie. Nobody expects nobody expected them to do anything even with Tyrod Taylor, who's been balling out. So obviously with Davis Mills now at the head of the team, I don't think that they're going anywhere too further now than they were with Tyrod Taylor. But maybe some David Culley magic happens. Obviously, Deshaun Watson's going to still be inactive here, but we shall see what happens with this team. But looking like basically the top of that 2022 draft board once again.
Yeah, I mean, the Texans show a lot of fight, but we shall see what they do on Thursday. To a more competitive game that turned into a competitive game in the fourth quarter. This game was 3-7 entering the fourth. The Bengals and the Bears. Bears were up 20-3, and then all of a sudden the Bengals came back and almost pulled this game off. Justin Fields had to enter the game because Andy Dalton got hurt. But good win for the Bears. Joe Burrow almost pulled it off, but he actually threw 3 interceptions on 3 straight passes. Probably one of the most comedic things I've seen so far this season. Just unbelievable. But Cincinnati could not get it going against this Bears defense, and Justin Fields gets his first win. Well, as a Bear, and good win for Chicago. I'd say they needed this one. And as of right now, they're currently leading the NFC North as I speak. But we shall see. The good win for the Bears, I'd say. There's nothing much to say. This game was a pretty much a boring game. But go ahead, Elton.
I mean, this game was close. The Bears barely beating the Bengals 20-17. Like you said, they kind of needed this to make that to go ahead and try to make that playoff run. But I don't know. The NFC is looking very, very disappointing so far. I don't even have to talk about the Lions. They're just a plain bad team. The Bears starting out 1-1, but Dalton's going down, and Fields is a rookie. He's a good quarterback, but I don't know if he's going to be able to lead them too far. Vikings just like plain disappointing, and the Packers. We know they're in a competition with the Lions right now on primetime football, and they might actually lose this game. So we'll see how this Monday Night Football game turns out. But the Bears, great game for them. We saw Fields obviously coming after Dalton was injured. Didn't play the great game. 6 for 13, 60 yards, and an interception for the couple plays that he was for the quarter or half that he was in for. Burrow, not too great of a game. He was sacked a couple times. Really had not too much time at all in that pocket. 19 for 30 with 207 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But those 3 interceptions were all consecutive. So just pass after pass after pass, all interceptions in a row. So terrible couple plays for him in a row there. And I really expected the Bears to actually kind of come away with a larger win in this game. But again, Andy Dalton was out, and Fields is a rookie. Not too sure if he's going to be able to get the Bears too far with this not much experience in the NFL.
Yeah, just a slug it out game until the fourth quarter. But let's move on to the last 2 games of the 1:00 window. We'll start out with the Rams and the Colts. Closer game actually than I thought. I thought the Rams would pull away, and I said the Colts would somewhat keep it close, but the Rams, they looking dominant. Matthew Stafford having a 200-yard passing day. Cooper Kupp had 163 yards and 2 touchdowns. Henderson had a touchdown as well. But I think the bigger storyline from this game, in terms of injury purposes, is Carson Wentz. We're going to see how long he's going to be out. But big win for the Rams, to keep up with this 2-0 record. And they got a big game next week on Sunday against the Buccaneers. We shall see how they do. Thoughts, Hudson?
We all kind of expected the Rams to win. I think I said on the podcast actually for our predictions that I would not be surprised if the Colts actually kept this a close game. And I think that call me crazy. I mean, not too crazy because they kept it a close game, but I think that the Colts could have and would have won if, I mean, maybe not would have, but they definitely had a way bigger chance to win if Carson Wentz was able to stay in that game and be there for that final drive with the Colts at the end of that game. But the Rams, sorry, barely beating the Colts by 3 points, 27-24. Michael Pittman Jr. had a game that we've kind of all been waiting for. Finally happened. 8 receptions for 123 yards. Carson Wentz, he's been doing great. They had an interception in that game. Other than that, he played really nice. Jonathan Taylor played great. But I think that the Rams, the Colts with Wentz, obviously, he was injured. But not only does he have that one sprained ankle, 2 different sprained ankles. I think there's more tests going to be done today and tomorrow, but he could be out for the next couple weeks. And, Jacob Eason, if Frank Reich doesn't like that option, then, maybe they call up Cam Newton or do something like that. But we don't really know what's going to happen. This was one of the most unfortunate injuries, obviously. That torn ACL in Philly, coming back here, already had that that foot injury, I think, in training camp, and then you come here, and then those ankle injuries are already killing you in the first couple of weeks. So, kind of sucks, but the Rams, they're looking really, really dynamic with Stafford, and to me, they are clear Super Bowl contenders in the NFC.
Yeah, no disagreement from here, but the last 1 o'clock window game would be the Saints and the Panthers. I'll let you talk first, and then I'll get to this game later. But go ahead, Hudson. I'll let you go first. What you got?
Yeah, sure.
Considering you and Suhas picked the Saints, and you said it wouldn't be close. But go ahead.
I don't know if I said it wouldn't be close. I mean, maybe I actually did say that. I have no clue. But, the Saints coming off of that crazy game, week 1 versus the Packers. But in the end, it looks like they just kind of caught them off guard. Jameis Winston did not throw for 5 touchdowns. He threw for 0 and also 2 interceptions. And the running backs really, Kamara wasn't too great, I'll say that. Jameis Winston had 19 yards and a touchdown rushing. Taysom Hill had 16 yards. Who is even this? Tony Jones Jr. had 7 yards. Oh, and then you have Kamara back there with 5 yards on 8 carries. So he had a garbage game for sure. Kind of ruined my fantasy team this week, but I was still able to get the dub. So that doesn't really matter too much. But the Panthers, though, Sam Darnold looking really, really nice. 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. Put that interception to the side. Christian McCaffrey looks like he's back, basically. Maybe not the MVP type, but he's definitely back to at least a top-tier running back in this NFL. So Panthers looking really, really nice. Like I said before, should be able to get that easy dub on Thursday against the Texans, and then week 4 against the Cowboys. So that should be a fun matchup for sure. But, wouldn't be surprised looking at the schedule. Then week 5, you guys play the Eagles. You guys can literally easily start out the season 5-0. And then you play the Vikings. That could be 6-0 for sure. The Giants. All right, honestly, you guys can literally start out 7-0 if Darnold plays great. Not even gonna lie.
I literally told you this a few weeks ago.
Then you play the Falcons
and
week 8.
You laughed in my face. You said there's no way. Now look at you. I told you a few weeks ago.
Okay, realistically, hypothetically, you guys could literally, if you play to your max extent, you guys can literally start out 9-0.
That's what I was saying. I literally told everybody we could start out 9-0, but I'll get to the few points. There's a few points you made. You said Christian McCaffrey's not in the MVP conversation. I mean, he not to his MVP self. I'd say he is actually, because during his MVP year, he had around 250 scrimmage yards total. After 2 games, he actually has 320, if I'm not mistaken. Right? No, actually, he has 330 or 40, I think. I'm not mistaken. He's still doing Christian McCaffrey type things. 227 actually scrimmage yards 327 scrimmage yards to start out this season. He's doing his stuff. And Darnold's playing really well. And I gotta give props to his defense, man. I didn't think this defense would be this good, but they are rushing the passer and they're forcing everything. They suffocated Zach Wilson until it was garbage time, and they suffocated Jameis Winston all game long. Brian Burns and Reddick got to him. J.C. Horn was locking up the back end, and I'm so glad we got this win. This win meant so much to the Panthers because they needed it, especially against a divisional foe who had absolutely smacked them for the past 3 years straight. The Saints won 3 times in 2017. And they won the last 4 matchups. I think they won the last 9 out of 10 matchups against Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. Or, sorry, 7 out of 8. Just absolute obliteration, and the Panthers needed this one, and they got it done. I thought we'd shit the bed, but we did not. Big win. Sam Darnold looks really good, and this team is going to be rolling. And I feel like, I'll be honest with you, I will be happy if this team makes the wild card, and I don't care what happens after that. As long as we make the playoffs, I feel like this is growth for this team. This is still a young team. There's like, I'm pretty sure I read a stat. 22 of the players on this roster are first and second year players. That just shows you the growth and the culture in Carolina. And I'm really happy, and I'm for the first time since 2017, I am very optimistic about this Panthers team. But let's move on to the 4 o'clock window games. We'll start out with another NFC South matchup with the Falcons and the Buccaneers. We all predicted this. We all saw this coming from a mile away. We all said Buccaneers, and we just moved on. Just a clinic of a performance from Tom Brady, who I think is at the top of the leaderboard in terms of MVP, in my opinion. There's no reason why he's not MVP. He's thrown for, if I'm not mistaken, 9 touchdowns this year so far. Just an absurd amount in 2 games. But he's Tom Brady. He's going to do this stuff. And for the Falcons, they're the trash heap that I've always known and watched. I didn't expect anything else from them. So, yeah, go ahead, Hudson.
Yeah, we kind of all, like you said, we just said Bucks and moved on, but the Falcons kind of kept it. I mean, I don't want to be that person, but the Falcons did kind of keep this a close game. I don't want to say until the very end, but until that early 4th quarter, late 3rd quarter, it was kind of a 1-possession game. But the Bucks, Tom Brady decided let's just move on and win this game. So he just decided to go off and drop 5 touchdowns in total and at the end of the game. But we kind of all expected it. Not too much to say, but the Bucks are looking like Super Bowl contenders already early in the season.
Yeah, I mean, they're like the top of the top in the NFC, and maybe the Rams and the NFC West is underneath. But big win for Tampa. Let's move on to another NFC game between the Vikings and the Cardinals, which is in the early 4 o'clock window. Kyler Murray he's also in that MVP conversation. And again, a game the Vikings should have won, and they didn't. And again, as I mentioned last week, they needed that one against the Bengals, and they just botched it. And they had this one in their grasp too, and they didn't get it. More and more tougher games for the Vikings, and their defense is just pathetic. Same with the Cardinals' defense didn't show up either today, but the Vikings' defense was just pathetic. Just absolutely getting torched all over the place. But just a game that the Vikings should have won too. And an 0-2 start for them. I didn't really expect this. I thought they'd be maybe 2-0, 1-1, but 0-2 is just no. They're heading downhill. And as for the Cardinals, they're inconsistent in my opinion. Still a little bit inconsistent. They should have lost this game. And they would have been 1-1 because their defense can't handle anybody. One week they'll look like Super Bowl contenders. The next week they look like an 8-8 team. And they should have lost this game. But lucky for them, Greg Joseph decided to become Blair Walsh. Good win for Arizona, I guess, even though they shouldn't have won this game. But they need to be a little bit more assertive against teams like Minnesota if they really want to contend for a Super Bowl. They can't let teams like Minnesota hang in and take an early lead. Just cannot do that. But Kyler Murray is on an MVP track. But other than that, just I'm really disappointed in Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I expected the Cardinals to win, and they ended up doing that. I mean, luckily, praying on the edge of their feet. But, the Vikings just should have won that game. Kirk Cousins easily drove the Vikings down that field with an easy field goal to win the game, but no, they just decided to blow out at the last second, and the Cardinals. I'm a fan of the Cardinals into the season. I think that the Cardinals can be, I don't want to say contenders in the West, but they're obviously led by that young quarterback in Kyler Murray that can, I think that they are going to make the playoffs this season, and they were definitely able to start out 3-0, 4-0. I don't think so, probably not, but 3-0 for sure. They play the Jaguars next week, so that should be an easy W. But Kyler Murray with another insane game. 400 yards and 3 touchdowns? I think I want to say in the end. As well as most likely another rushing touchdown too, if I can see quickly here.
Yes, he did
Yeah,
have a rushing touchdown.
yeah, 3 passing and another rushing touchdown. Chase Edmonds had a nice game on the ground for them.
Rondell Moore had a major
And
game.
and yeah,
Big game.
yeah, and then Rondell Moore had a hell of a game. 7 receptions for 114 yards and 1 touchdown. Had that 77-yard touchdown at the start of the game that started the Cardinals up. But yeah, just a very, very exciting game. I think the Cardinals are going to be a very, very fun team to watch this season with loads of receivers and obviously that Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins show. And on defense, there is something else. So Cardinals should be a very fun team to watch this year. Don't be surprised if they made a run for the playoffs.
I don't know. I'm not convinced, but right now 2-0, good start. All right, so let's move on to the prime time 4 o'clock game, Cowboys Chargers. I expected this to be a shootout, and it was more of a low-scoring game, 20-17 Dallas on a late 56-yard field goal by Greg Zuerlein. Big win for Dallas. They needed this one, and I had a feeling that I didn't think they were going to, and they got it done. Props to Tony Pollard for having such a good game, and Zeke carried the ball efficiently, and that Dallas defense, who I thought was absolutely ass, got the job done. I don't expect them to do this every week, but Dallas's defense is somewhat solid actually, and I don't even. I feel like they're bound to give up a bad performance like they did Week 1 against the Bucks, but they played a very good game against Justin Herbert, even though they gave up 300 yards to Herbert. They gave up 100 yards to Keenan Allen, but just a big win for Dallas. They needed this one, and they got it done.
It's looking mainly like Tony Pollard is going to be the new running back one in Dallas. Obviously, Zeke played awful last week, and this week he played okay, 16 for 71 and a touchdown. But Tony Pollard, like I said, that main guy, 13 for 109 and another touchdown. As it looks like the Packers are going to extend their lead there. But the
Jones
Cowboys
has got
are
3
able to take
touchdowns, bruh.
Rodgers.
No, Jones, Aaron Jones.
Oh, does he actually?
Yeah, he's got 3 touchdowns.
Jeez, yeah. But I expected the Chargers to win this game, and I also expected. I think I said the Chargers to win. And I also said that it would be a shootout, like you said too. But I mean, the Cardinals. I mean, sorry, the Cowboys kind of. They held them. Herbert threw, I think, an interception early. 2 interceptions in that game. I think one went
No,
to.
he only threw 1 interception.
It says 2 on ESPN right here.
I thought he only threw 1. Huh, interesting.
Interceptions. One was to DeMonte Kazee, and then the other was to Trevon Diggs. So 2
Was the
interceptions
Trevon
for this
Diggs one?
Dallas defense.
Huh. I thought he only had 1.
Yeah, I don't know. I watched the last couple minutes of this game, but I didn't see any interceptions. But maybe there was another one.
2 interceptions? What? All right, good. Just go ahead. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, sure. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams with another couple of huge games. Jared Cook, I remember when he signed with the Chargers, I said he would be definitely not as good as like Hunter Henry, but he would be an okay tight end just to fit in there on some plays here and there. He had 3 receptions for 30 yards, so he's doing okay for them as their starting tight end. But like I said, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, basically their top 2 receivers. Also drafting, who's the receiver? I know that they drafted a receiver, did they not?
Who, the Chargers?
Yeah.
No, they didn't draft the receiver. I don't think they did. They have Mike Williams and Keenan Allen.
Oh yeah, no, they drafted the Rashawn Slater. I'm thinking of the Cardinals because they wanted to draft a receiver. But yeah, the Cardinals. I'm sorry, the Cowboys. They had a pretty nice game defensively and offensively. But Chargers, if they want to, prove people that Herbert is the real thing and that their team can actually do stuff and make the playoffs, then they've got to beat those teams with those garbage defenses, just like the Cowboys in that game next week. The Chargers play the Chiefs. I don't know if that's going to end too well. And the Cowboys play the Eagles on Monday Night Football, so they should be able to get another dub. Yeah.
I don't know about that one, but we will get
sure?
to that. We will get to that in our prediction video.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, good game from the Cowboys on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, nothing much else to say for me. And finally, the last 4:00 game that actually went into overtime. Derrick Henry and the Titans pull off the upset in Seattle for a huge win. The Titans were on the edge of going 2-0-2, and they hung in there, and they relied on their bulldozer and Derrick Henry. But it just proves my point that Derrick Henry is so inconsistent at times. You can stuff him, and he'll be non-existent times, and then he'll have games like this, where he just bulldozes everybody. But big win for Tennessee and Russell Wilson in Seattle. Where was DK Metcalf all game? I didn't hear too much from DK. In fact, against that defense, he should have had a field day. He only had 6 catches for 53 yards. I didn't really hear him. It was a quiet 6 for 53 then. But big win for Tennessee though. They needed this one in this tough AFC, and they have the division lead. In fact, now over Houston. So big win for them.
Yeah, super duper surprised by the Titans here. I really thought, after that getting blown out by the Cardinals in week, I think it was kind of, I will say getting blown out by the Cardinals. Looks like that kind of woke them up after, Goff has fumbled the snap, and it looks like the Packers will get the ball back. So that's basically a wrap. But the Titans waking up after that Cardinals week 1 loss as the Seahawks, I don't know. That was just kind of a bad game. Russell Wilson played great. Chris Carson played really, really good. Lockett, and who is this guy? Freddie Swain. I know the last name, Freddie Swain. Heard
he has 60-yard touchdown.
Yeah, he had a really, really nice catch. He's nearly 70 yards, actually, 68 in that game. DK Metcalf had a quiet game, but yeah, exactly like you said. But Freddie Swain, Tyler Lockett, and Chris Carson, Russell Wilson mainly leading that Seahawks offense. But the Titans, though, Tannehill threw for nearly 400 yards and didn't even throw a single touchdown or interception. It was the Derrick Henry show all day. 35 for 182 and 3 touchdowns. I don't want to say he's inconsistent completely. Obviously, going back to that week 1 Cardinals game, he had 17 for 58, which is okay. But obviously, the next week having 185 and 3 touchdowns, it's a bit inconsistent through those 2 games. But maybe he just needs to get that rhythm back with a new top tier playmaker and Julio Jones on the team. But who knows what's going to happen. If he has another bad week next week, I'm just gonna go out and say that he will be inconsistent this whole entire season. But I think that the Seahawks should have been able to beat them. Garbage defense definitely better than who did they play last week again? They played the Cowboys played the Seahawks played the Colts. So the Seahawks should be able to beat the Colts that bad, then they should probably be able to beat the Titans too on offense. But I think the Seahawks are going to be able to answer back next week for sure.
Yeah, big win for Tennessee. In that tough AFC, they needed to keep standing, and just falling to 0-2 would demoralize that team. Last game of Sunday was the Sunday night classic thriller game between Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and the Ravens pulling out the win after Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbled the football and cost Kansas City the game. Just a big win, and I feel like not only is it like a big win for the Ravens, I feel like it's a big win for Lamar in particular because he had lost his last 4 games against the Chiefs or something. Like just absolute like he needed this one and he got it and he carried that team last night. Just play after play after play even after the first pick six, he kept on fighting and that's what you want to see out of a quarterback like Lamar Jackson. Just a big game on prime time in front of everybody watching and he got it done even though the Chiefs should have won this game. And just this is what you expect out of Sunday Night Football. This is the type of matchup you wanted to see, and we got it. And it was a very good game, and I'm glad I watched that game last night.
Yeah, we were watching this not like together, but we were keeping contact during that game, and just went kind of crazy when the Chiefs got the ball back when the Ravens missed that 2-pointer. We were pretty just confident that the Chiefs would end up running the ball all the way downfield and get that field goal at the buzzer at the not the buzzer but at triple zeros and take the win. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I mean, just a costly mistake, obviously losing this game. And it wasn't basically one of the most because with all those record predictions, not seeing that has anything to put into this, but if anybody had the Chiefs losing any games this season, I feel like this would be one of the main ones that they had them losing. I don't think that it's going to do them too much. It's not going to affect them too much. They're probably going to end up obviously winning that AFC West division anyways, but maybe they, maybe it puts them at the 2 seed or the 3 seed or something like that. Maybe they don't get a bye or anything. But in the end, Mahomes had a really, really nice game, but Lamar didn't really even play that well, but he's just like I don't even know how to describe him. He's a good quarterback. He threw 2 interceptions like in the opening half, but just like looking at this rushing stat, it's just insane. 16 carries for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns. It looks like there's just a clone that plays running back and quarterback, so I don't really know. I'm based off of this game, especially against one of the league's top defenses. It looks like what I was saying before the season, the league probably has not figured out what Lamar Jackson has done, where he's going to run, how he's going to run, all that stuff. But, the league, keep the Ravens on watch. I mean, even without their starting 3 running backs, maybe they can make something happen with Devontae Freeman.
I don't know. I thought the Ravens had a very good game plan, which was basically run the football and let Lamar Jackson do the work. Because the Chiefs' defense is sort of the weakness of that team, and they got the job done. And I guess we'll just wrap up right now and with this Monday night game, which is pretty much over in my opinion. I don't think the Lions will be coming back, so I guess we'll just wrap up. Green Bay needed this game, so they got it done. And yeah, Aaron Jones is about to have his 4th touchdown. But just a big game from Green Bay. They needed this one. They looked a little sloppy at the beginning. The Lions came out roaring 14-7, and they had the lead heading into half. But second half adjustments and this downpour rain, I think, just the costly, just costing the Lions this game. But I gotta give the Lions props. They played a very good first half, and they showed fight. They played. Jared Goff had a very good first half. I think he had 1 incompletion. Good game from the Lions, but when you're a team rebuilding, these are the types of games against contenders you want. And they played a very good game. They tried their hardest, but Green Bay is a real contender in my opinion. Even though they had a pathetic game last week. They got this one, and they have a big game on Sunday night next week at home against San Francisco. Going to be a big game on Sunday night, and we'll really find out if Green Bay is a contender or not.
It looks like it's really pouring at this Green Bay here. At this Green Bay game. Not that I'm there or anything, but just on TV, they keep driving the ball every single play. But Jared Goff, I mean, he played. I mean, he's been still playing great. 16 out of 21 for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns. And on this play, would not be surprised if Aaron Jones runs it in for his 4th touchdown of the day. There it is.
Yep.
So 17 for 67. Aaron Rodgers actually basically threw to him on every single one. Yeah, so 3 receiving touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown for Aaron Jones this game. Pretty insane stat line for him. And Aaron Rodgers, we said in in the week 1 recap, he was going to come out. Also, I think in the week 1 predictions, he was going to come out here, throw for like 500 yards over this defense and like 5 touchdowns. So here he is, not the 500 yards, but the 4 touchdowns and just a basically completely great game for this Packers team to come back off that horrific loss last week, beat a team that they were kind of expected to beat, but they were also expected to kill the Saints too in week 1. So a good win for them as they kind of get back on track. I want to see who they play next week quickly because I'm sure it's probably
San Francisco.
Oh yeah. That's right. On
Night.
Sunday Night Football. That'll put them to the test. I think that'll. I feel like if they lose that game, they may not be the real deal this season. And if they win, then they just had to get back into groove. But yeah, Packers look great this game, and we kind of expect them to kill the Lions as they are doing great now.
Yeah, just a big win for Green Bay, and that's gonna wrap up our week 2 recap. Good slate of games this week, and week 3 is gonna start on Thursday with Panthers Texans. So we'll have our predictions come out probably on Thursday for that one, and we hope you guys enjoyed. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. And with that being said, peace out. I'm an idiot. I'm literally an idiot. I did the join instead of the leave.
No way. It's been recording though, right?
Oh, it's been recording, yeah.
Oh, you
Why?
just accidentally.